Okay.
Right. Guys, please write this down if verbally saying does not stick enough in the mind. Stop working on deals that are on the market. Work on deals that are direct to vendor. Because the day you have understanding that, okay, I'm not going to look for any deals on the market, you will save yourself loads and loads of time. I found another way to find direct to vendor deals, especially those who may be in slight bit of trouble, through Companies House. Okay, this is again direct to vendor, and people who may be going through liquidation in the property space, as in property development, or they're doing some sort of property business and they're going into liquidation. I've been able to find a way to find them on Companies House. Okay, so that's something, again, I will be teaching my internal team, and they'll be able to find and add additional sheet on top of your spreadsheet already to make it easier for you to find more deals. Okay, but
Okay.
I'm gonna ask you now, where are you stuck? Bossman, tell me, where are you stuck? I remember you'd asked me, can you remind
Yeah.
me, please?
Yeah. Jack, thank you once again. I'm stuck with the from the point where the how to reach the vendors, the how,
You
and
mean
to take it from
how
there
to
to,
reach the vendors?
yes.
Okay, right. You have the property address right on your sheet?
Yeah, one second. Let me get it.
You have addresses of pretty much every lead on the sheet, irrespective if they're developments, irrespective if they are block leads or hotel leads.
Yeah, one second. I'm just trying to get that. Okay, it's open now. Yeah, I've got it's opening.
You've got
I've got
addresses of every single property. In some cases, the address of the site in comparison to who is doing the site, who's working on the site, might be different. Okay.
yes, which I've
Okay. Yeah.
I've been to some sites, and yeah.
Yeah. So you can write this address on Companies House, and then you're able to find information of the proprietor or the landlord or the developer. In some cases, the developer information can also be on the planning portal. Okay. So now that you have Companies House, the planning portal, and then also when you click on directors or shareholders and you get that information, you can type that name on LinkedIn. And if they live in a certain town, let's say Mr. Smith lives in a certain town, you have the address on Companies House, and then you go on LinkedIn and then you find a Mr. Smith who lives in that town as well, then you've got some chances as it's the same Mr. Smith. Okay, not definitely, but there are some chances. Please raise your hand if you know what I mean. Yep. Especially if it says they are in property, because when you go on LinkedIn, you can see their name, you can see the town, you can also see what sort of business they are into. Okay, so you can connect with them on LinkedIn. You can also write their name on Google to see if they are bloggers, vloggers, they do something. If they're in the same town, they could be the same person. They may have their own personal website. Okay.
Yeah.
Don't go on a goose chase. It's more like a very quick 10, 20 seconds search. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. And because you have the address, guys, try to understand this. Finding a landlord is a game of persistence. Okay? The more you persist, the more you will get through. If you go to the site and they don't want to give you the name of the landlord, that's a good sign for you, because now you've got a landlord who definitely is in some way thinks he's prolific. Does that make sense?
Mm.
And because he's prolific, then it becomes the right person to connect with. Because only with people who think they bring value to the world are the ones you're going to do some decent business with. Are you with me? If it was
Yeah.
easy to get through to this landlord for everyone, sorry, someone wants to say something? If it was easy for everyone to get through to that landlord, then everyone would be doing it. You with me, Bossman? Okay. So when it's harder to get to a landlord, that's a good sign. Okay. But remember, you're gonna find those people. Remember, when you're on the call, you never want to pitch on a call. A call is just to arrange a meeting. Just to arrange a meeting. Okay. What do? This is what I do, Bossman. And I can bring some value to your property, to your asset. When would be a good time to come and see you for about 5 minutes? Okay. The aim is to arrange a meeting. Once you arrange a meeting, that's when you start to pitch. Okay. Okay. Now, Bossman, I can't hear you. You're muted.
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
Okay. Remember, you have the addresses. Either you use Google, ChatGPT, LinkedIn, Company's House. Company's House is absolutely amazing to use this information. Like I said, I found a new way to be able to filter out property companies, and then from the property companies, companies that are in trouble. And then from those troubled companies, you can select the area. So you can actually go and find this information of your region, companies that are in trouble, property companies, and then reach out to them. And this is all on Company's House. I'll be, like I said, instructing my team to, you can use these filters on Company's House as we speak. All you got to do is play for it for 5-10 minutes and you can see, and I'll be teaching my team to add this as an additional thing on top of on your sheet. Okay, so you can actually now find struggling property businesses and companies on Company's House, and you can reach out to them and say, well, let's see what the challenge is and where we can bring the value. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. Going back to direct to where landlord deals, guys. Look, you can go and look for 1 million deals online. There's always going to be some sort of trouble with it. There's always going to be less profit. There's always going to be a middleman who's going to mess up the deal. There's always going to be some trouble. The most profitable deals by far are and will always remain is when you speak with the landlord and he or she does not have property knowledge. And because they wouldn't have the knowledge, that's where you will make most of the profits. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. You are not sources. Please do not try to source properties for others. Why would you connect with the landlord, find a deal that could potentially make you 100 grand to 1 million quid, and then go and sell it to someone else? Why would you do that? Only if, let's say, you're working on 20 deals at a time and you now physically, your time bandwidth does not allow to do a deal. That's when you say, you know what, I can't do this deal. I might as well just source it to someone else and make maybe 50, 100 grand. Okay. Otherwise, you're not a sourcer. Also, when you are a developer and you're working in planning gain, people tend to take you more seriously, which means when at that point when you source, you'll easily sell these deals. Okay. It's when you're a sourcer and you're sourcing deals out, people don't take you seriously. Okay. but work on your direct to landlord deals. That is, look, there is no information that I can imagine that you're not going to find on Google. The question is, are you investing enough time to find it? Now, remember, that's exactly why I added the virtual assistant service. Okay, if you don't have the time, you can pay someone 100 quid a month, get 20 hours or so. They will do it for you. Okay. For example, we have Ahmed here. We have two more people in the group who are actually doing this. Michael, Ahmed, and Grace. They are actually using virtual assistant to do this for them. So on their sheet, you can actually see more information of the company's house, the directors, their addresses, so on and so forth. So this is this, even the 5 minutes bit of doing the due diligence, you don't have to do it. A virtual assistant can do it for you. Everyone on the same page with me? Please raise your hand. Okay. But it's very rare that someone will do something on a personal name in property space. It's mostly under limited companies, and that you can't find that information. Otherwise, you will find some information on company's house. Okay. All it is now a matter of approaching. I would literally knock the doors. I would knock the doors. That's where your money is. If you don't like knocking doors, I'm sorry. It's just not going to help you. You need to get used to it. Okay? That's where the money is. The number of, in fact, this guy I interviewed, I think his name is Saj. Yeah? He goes, the more hands you shake, the more business you do. Use the words in a different way. The more doors you knock, the more money you will make. It's very, very simple. Okay? And remember, you're not knocking a door to sell something that's worth 10 quid. You're knocking a door because you want to do a deal worth £1 million. Okay? And write this down, okay? The more I see this, right? The more I see, the more I experience, the more I see people. The only ones who are successful in property, or for that matter, any business, is the ones with hunger. Have you got the hunger? That's the question. I mean, I made a list of 39 tasks when I took over these 14 flats. I'm down from 39 to 11 in literally 10 days. And these are tasks, major tasks, right? These are not minor tasks. These are not tasks that will get done in 5 minutes. These are tasks that take days. Okay? I've managed to bring them to 11. Probably get through to 11 in the next 20 days. Okay? This is doing refurb work, arranging flats, decorating flats, plumbing work, creating ensuite rooms. There's all sorts of things within it that are very, very time consuming. And the only reason I'm able to plow through them is because of the hunger, right? Otherwise, you don't get them done. No, it just never happens. The speed that I work on, I've very rarely seen people working at that pace. And there's no reason. It's not like I'm more intelligent. I don't have any better IQ than an average person. The only reason is hunger. Just plowing through tasks like they don't matter. They don't exist. It's not like I have in my mind, this is going to take 2 weeks. For me, it's like call the person, delegate, give them a deadline, done. IT work, delegated. Building work, delegated. Plumbing work, delegated. Managerial work, delegated. Housekeeping work, delegated. Okay? Make a very, very decent list, as a sensible list, very clear instructions. Go to them, how much you're going to charge or agree whatever the price that might be, and then get them to do the work and then give them a deadline. Gets done, right? Not in all cases. Yes, there are people who will delay things and go on sick holidays and all sorts of things. Not that nothing ever happens, right? I've got 2 people that are on sick leave, and I've got 2 people who are mourning about too much work. That's fine. If they're mourning, they're mourning. If you don't want to do the work, I'll replace you. Okay? But it's really hunger. That's what makes the biggest difference. And the hunger needs to come from you, because if you're hungry, you'll make that happen. Okay? And this applies to all of us. It's not, I'm saying it applies to you. It just applies to everyone. It's the same with me. It's just hunger. And if you don't have hunger, I can't be any better mirror telling you that if you don't have hunger, nothing is going to happen. Right? Bossman, I'm listening to you now.
I think you're on point. Knocking doors, getting engaging as many as one can. Um, because some of the places on my list that I've visited, I've driven past there again, but I've seen that now there's a bit of work going in
Yeah.
on there.
Yeah.
And I'm just putting pieces together as to what you're saying, that possibly is being sold, and so um the next step is to possibly find if it's an investor or whoever has bought it and asking questions. Yeah.
Yes, yes. Look, here is something you need to have clarity on. Okay. Unfortunately, either you like it or not, there is something called authority over a subject.
Mm.
Now, this is not theoretical authority, this is execution authority, right? I'm not an academic, okay? I run a business, right? So if
Yeah.
I was an academic, that would be a different story. But execution authority is like, okay, when you go on my YouTube channel or my any of these social media channels, or you go on our website, what you see creates a certain level of expertise and creates perceptive authority.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now, if let's say you are not in that space, there is no harm in doing that. There's nothing wrong with that. But you need to start creating that authority. Now, I'll give you an example. Let's say, Bossman, you've done 10 deals in your lifetime.
Yeah.
Okay. If I was you, I would make a video and say, these are the deals that I've done. And then I would share it with my network. And that video will go everywhere. Make sure it's a good quality, it has transcript, do the best you can. I am not great at it either. My team is not great at it either, but at least we're doing it. Yes, no? Okay. I made a video in front of these 14 flats and the other commercial properties. It has had, I think, a couple of thousand views. Okay. Across the networks,
Yeah.
right? It's not just one piece of content, but it goes across the network. Instagram, TikTok, goes on Facebook, goes on, YouTube and a whole bunch of other places, right? But remember,
Yeah.
imagine putting 2,000 people in a single room. That's a lot of people.
Yeah.
Okay. So don't compare your 2,000 views to someone who's getting 2 million views. Compare it to your own context. If you are viewed by 2,000 people, that is good enough people.
Mm.
Are you with me? My
Yeah.
YouTube channel has, I think, like 46, 47,000 views. Okay. That's a lot of views. Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe not for Kardashians, but I'm not there. That's a different level. That's a different game. In my business, that's good views. Okay.
Yeah.
So learn to create that authority in your space. I'll tell you the reason. When you connect, when you shake hand with a landlord, he's going to go and check on your name. He's going to check on your name. And if they find nothing, that does not create a good perception.
Yeah.
Okay. They must find at least something, right? If you work with 10 landlords, go back and take recommendations. Okay.
Yeah.
Within the property space, you must create services of your own. Create your own services, right? I mean, look at me. I'm not saying copy me. You can if you want to, by all means. I have no problem. But look at the way I've created these services, right? I've created the franchise. I've created now the virtual assistants. I'm also bringing the inner circle back because inner circle was quite popular. And now I'm reflecting back and thinking, there was normally about 30 to 40 people enrolled into the inner circle. So I'm bringing the inner circle back, right? I've got the finances, the finance broker services, which is what I started with. And then I've got all of these commercial properties and so on and so forth. So there's money coming in from different directions. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
You need to now sit down and say, how do I create services? But then remember, services that's not swapping time for money. None of the services that I provide are swapping time for money. None. I am not giving any one person my full time, irrespective of what they're going to pay me. Okay? Because I need to work on my own deals. My own deals bring me a lot more money than what one person is going to pay me for an hour. Even if someone pays me £1,000 an hour, that's not worth my time. Okay? Because I'm working on deals that when you look at the compounding factor of them, they can pay a lot more than that. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I say the compounding factor of my lifetime on a deal. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. So learn to create these services. Learn to be creative with those services. How does your service stand out? Okay. Because you gotta remember, business is not a static thing. When people go on these courses, right? The reason those courses don't work is you're being shown some static business, right? Go and do sourcing, go and do rent, right? What they're not telling you is how saturated the market might be, how your sales skills are going to make the biggest difference, and what they don't tell you is to be creative with those services. So let's say you're in rent and that market is saturated. That means there's already loads of people working in it. Now, what are their challenges? What are their challenges? I'll tell you one challenge that they have, which is they're short of time. Because if they're managing 20 or more units, their time bandwidth is gone. Yes, no? Yeah? So their challenge is virtual assistants. Their challenge is systems. Their challenge is hiring the staff that's already trained. So when you go to these courses, what they don't tell you is you need to be creative with what is the demand? What's in demand? That's what matters. It's not about just saying, I want to do rent to rent. I want to do, sourcing. The number of people who call me up and say I'm doing rent to rent and sourcing, and they're struggling like shit for the past as long as I've known them. And it's unbelievable how they cannot think that it's not about being in a saturated space, it's being creative and thinking, what are they struggling with that you can potentially bring on the table? For example, what do you call leased furniture, right? They also struggle with finances, for example. They struggle with cash flow, especially at winter season. Okay? When you're struggling with something, right? You need to slow down and think why. Is it because you have not learned the game properly? Or is it really saturated? Or can you be more creative, either looking for landlords themselves directly, or is it something else? Creativity makes the difference between Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, and everyone else in the world. Okay? Okay? It's creative. It's being innovative every step of the way. Okay?
Yeah.
Moro, any questions?
No.
I'm sorry, Jack. I was on mute. Sorry. Sorry, Jack.
Any questions?
Jack. No question, Jack. You already know what I'm working on. I'm working on this thing with Ahmad as well, Jack. As of now, Jack, I've now sent 60 letters. So, yeah, Jack. No questions. I'm just moving forward.
Look,
I'm doing what needs to be done.
You need to be working on at least 20 deals at a time. 20 as a bare minimum to get to a point where you close one or two.
Got it.
If you're only working on one, and if that drops off, don't be surprised. You're just not working on enough average.
Yeah, exactly. No. I know what you mean, Jack. Which is why, Jack, I'm sending the letters. I'm doing what you said, the 10 a day. I've sent my 10 today. Tomorrow, another 10. So I'm just doing that, and I'm just going to keep that going.
Good stuff. Good stuff.
Yeah.
And keep a good track of what's really happening with those letters. How many responses are you getting on 100? How many are you getting on 1,000? Stuff like that. What happened with it? When you're going to go and pitch, please take me with you. I'll help you with it. Okay.
Yeah, I'm doing it on the spreadsheet, Jack. So on the spreadsheet, I added an extra column at the end to say letter sent, and then
Good stuff. Good
and
stuff.
then once there's a feedback, then whatever that is, I'll put it there.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Emma, any questions?
No questions.
Okay. Now, any questions?
No, I'm all right. Thanks, Jack.
Good stuff. Bossman, any questions?
No, I think from some of the things that you're talking about with regards to the other services, I think I'll have to also creatively sort of encode right on your shoulders a little bit, and use my network to get also other cash flows in, and whilst following the main target, as in the leads that has been generated. And I also need to sign up to the virtual assistant, the virtual assistant.
You want to do that? You want to do that?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, because I think it will help. It will help a lot, and I'll discuss that with you separately. Yeah.
Not a problem. Not a problem. Again, guys, remember the money is in. My son. The money is in planning game, guys. That's where your money is, right? Everything else kind of slowly pays the bills, and you might create a good lifestyle at the back of that. But the bigger chunk of money is in planning game. That is where you want to focus, right? Everything else is just, I don't know. For me, it feels like maybe it's just me, like so I can put this straight. I've got to a point where for me, I'm not worried about cash flow, right? I've got enough cash coming in to be able to pay the bills. I was telling Damir this morning, I've got 18 people working for me, right? So at the end of the month, I have to pay 18 people, salaries, irrespective of different countries, right? India and here. But at the same time, there's 18 people to be paid. So there's enough cash coming in to be able to pay them, and for me to be able to live a decent lifestyle. For me, it's now all about just delegation, keep delegating, and then focus on more development deals. But you may need to see and balance this for yourself on the way you might be in the journey. If let's say cash flow is a challenge for you, then please focus on cash flowing deals. It doesn't really matter, because if you don't have enough cash coming in, then that is like not enough oxygen coming to you, which is not acceptable. Okay. So the cash needs to really come in, like really. If you call me up and say I'm working on a development deal, and if you don't have enough cash coming in, I'm going to stop you there and say, look, let's not talk about developments, because you don't have enough oxygen. How are you going to talk about a development deal? A development deal is not going to pay you for 12, 24 months, maybe longer. So what's the point of talking about that? Okay. Focus on your cash until you get to at least, bare minimum 10,000 a month. Okay. Once you're at 10 grand a month net in your pocket, that's when you say, you know what, I can now focus a little bit on development deals. Now, I'm not saying don't spend any time on development deals. Focus 90% on cash flow, maybe 10% on development deals. Does that make sense? Okay. But really, if you have cash flow issues, that's where your main focus needs to be. Okay. That's oxygen, guys. You do not survive without oxygen.
So Jack, these are hotels and which I'm gone
block
through as
deals
well.
And hotels.
Yeah,
Block deals and hotels. Look, guys, it's none of this is rocket science. I promise you, none of this is rocket science. When you put your numbers on a spreadsheet, either it's a hotel or a block, and you do your research in terms of, am I going to get X amount of occupancy? Let the numbers help you make a decision rather than you making a decision based on assumptions. Your decisions need to be based on numbers and the stats that are available online. Okay, AirDNA is the main one. I think there's a couple more. Ahmed was mentioning maybe there's more. I've not researched this for the past a year or so. Maybe there's new tools out there. I will not be surprised you go and write on ChatGPT for more stats and you might find more tools to find all of this information. But AirDNA is still there. So make sure you take your decisions based on that and not what you think. We as human beings, there's no way we can take accurate decisions. We are emotional beings. We have biases. Let the research and the data help you make decisions. Okay? So either it is hotels, either it is block deals, either it is a commercial that you're buying, either it is a commercial that you're developing. Doesn't really matter. There's stats out there at all times available to you. Nimbus maps, obviously, it gives you loads. All the shit that you look at, all of that data comes from Nimbus maps, right? When you hire a virtual assistant, they're not writing from themselves. They're going online on Google and LinkedIn and Companies House and ChatGPT and pulling that data out and adding onto the spreadsheet. Okay? And that will eventually help you make decisions and make calls and everything else at the back of that. Okay?
All right, Jack.
Yeah. Good stuff. If you have any questions, like I said, I wanted to focus this session on two things. One was direct to vendor leads. If you're looking at online deals, guys, you are wasting your precious time. Okay? Look for deals direct to vendor. That's where your profits are. You've got an amazing spreadsheet in front of you. I can walk with your spreadsheet and I can look at 100 plots and I can approach all of those 100 in a single day. Let's say I go 7 in the morning and I don't finish till 9 at night. I'm going to approach all of these 100 people, and the likely is I'm going to at least start negotiating with 1 or 2. How long did it take? 14 hours of your day. It did not take 14 days. Okay? Or it does not take 14 days. It takes 14 hours. You start 7, you finish bloody 9 o'clock at night, and you've covered at least 100 properties speaking with landlords. No need to worry about doing all of this research online. It's all almost like old school style, but it works. Works for me all the time. Okay? So just reach out. Right now, like the reason I'm mentioning this is, you guys know I'm super, super humble. I don't tell you to brag this, but I'm negotiating 1, 2, 3. I'm negotiating 3 deals, 3 more deals, right? Of them 2 are block deals. No, in fact, there's 5 deals, but 3 of them are for sure kind of negotiation happening, as in we are exchanging numbers. Okay, like I'm putting an offer, they're counter proposing and all of that, right? One of them is a development deal, and 2 of them are, holiday let flats. Okay, even though I'm already stretched for time for what I'm doing, I'm still putting in offers, so I'm creating a further pipeline. Because literally in about a month's time, I'll be done with all of this setup and delegation, and in a month's time, I'll have more time. And if I don't start putting in offers now, I'll have nothing in the pipeline. Does that make sense? So you're creating and filling your pipeline at any given time. And if at that point, let's say if I'm short of money, then another task in the list becomes go and pitch. And then you go and pitch it to 20 odd people, at least 1 or 2 will agree, done and dusted. Right? Pitching takes time. 20 people pitching probably would take 2 or 3 days. Okay? Okay? But it's just, look guys, a lot of this is just common sense. If you are pushing through something, either you're not doing it right, or the market is way too saturated, which a lot of property aspects of the property market are, then you need to be more creative. You just need to be more creative. Slow down and think, well, what's the best way? What's the other ways? Not even the best way. What's another way to solve this problem? What's another way to solve this challenge? Problem is not the best word to use, but challenge. How do I creatively solve this challenge that I have in front of me? Okay? Let your persuasion skills not be a hindrance. Practice that, please, because if that's a hindrance, you just have to practice. There's nothing else you can do. Okay? Okay? So if it is like you are getting people connecting with you, landlords, but you're just not able to negotiate the deal and get it over the line, then it could just be your persuasion skills. Let that not be the hindrance. Practice, practice, practice in front of a mirror, in front of a camera. Watch yourself later. Done and dusted. Do it with someone else that you trust. Keep practicing. I still practice all the time. I'm purposely on calls with people practicing this. Okay, all the time. Okay, I have a guest, literally I had a guest this morning check out, I had to refund his deposit. I was practicing grow model with him, trying to sell him my our franchise. Right? A guest in a hotel. Okay, just because initially when he checked in, I could see he was a nice person, like a decent person. I said, okay, let me find out what does the guy do. He's in e-commerce. I'm pretty sure he's probably fed up with e-commerce. He may be considering property. I shared the franchise link with him. He said, I'll come back to you in a couple of months' time. Okay, either he buys something or not, that's another story. Might take another 2 years to buy, but it's almost like you're connecting, you're creating pipelines and nurturing those relationships. Okay, every step of the way, every person I speak with, I'm pitching, and I'm pitching all the time, all the time. I'm pitching something to every person I connect with, directly or indirectly, depending on what their challenges might be. Okay, and then long term, when you start to look at it, it pays off. I get people calling me a year later saying, well, I spoke with you like a year later. Can you get my mortgage done? Can you get me a bridge loan? Okay. And then I ask them, what do you do, in the property space? Then I share the franchise link, and then I share a couple of other links, the services that we provide, and all of a sudden, people are booking. Sometimes I speak with someone else, and they don't have, properties in Blackpool. They book a holiday in Blackpool with me. So can you see what's happening? Like, it's almost like a network that I'm monetizing on all different levels. How do you apply this to yourself? Does that make sense?
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
because it's monetization. It doesn't really matter how you monetize it. It's still monetization. Either I am selling my hotel, my rooms, flats, or I'm selling one of these services. It's still, everything is monetization. Either someone is getting a mortgage from me or a bridge loan. It's still monetization. I'm still getting paid. Okay, how do you create that for yourself? Right? How do you create a network where you have authority, you have trust built in, and then you're able to provide that value, bring that value in? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. And the best position to be in is when someone picks up the phone, has never spoken with you, but has watched so many of your videos and your posts that when he picks up the phone, he's already sold. All you have to do is just say, here is the sign up page and sign, whatever that might be. Now, he might just call you up and say, I've got a project. I don't understand how to close this project. Would you be a JV partner with me? Okay, that is amazing because he's bringing the deal on the table and then he's asking for your expertise. Now, that expertise can be in development deals, planning game deals, or it can even be in block management, hotel management. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, but for all of this to happen, you have to keep pushing through, keep plowing through. You have to keep talking with people. If you're talking to 2 people a day, that's only 700 people a year. In comparison to someone like me who's talking to 100 people a day. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
You have to keep plowing through. I have 11,000 contacts in my phone. We have 7 or nearly 8,000 in the email. And then we have all of these people on the Facebook groups and the LinkedIn groups and the WhatsApp community, all of that, just shy of 50,000 people. When a message is created, either it is a video, let's say it's a video, it then goes to 50,000 people. Off of those 50,000, it gets watched by anywhere between 1 to 2,000, 3,000 people. Okay? Off of those 1 to 3,000 people, then I start to get business, because then they pick up the phone and call me at whatever point that they might need me. Does that make sense?
Mm.
Okay? That's what the game is. You need to understand the game. I'm observing a lot of people who are in the group and they don't understand sometimes the basics. The basics are, it's a cycle of marketing and sales and a network that you provide value to, irrespective of the value that you bring. It can be anything. Like I said, a rent-to-rent person is time bandwidth stretched. So how can you help them leverage time? How can you help them leverage cash flow when they are in their winter season? How can you help them leverage on furniture? Because they're short of furniture all the time, right? They might be taking a unit, they don't want to pay for the whole furniture, they want to lease it out, right? And you can look at any, for example, services. For example, a developer. I'll give you an example. Let's say a developer is developing a site and they are short of some material that's not been procured on time. They could have 10 people on site waiting for just one material to arrive while the developer is paying every single person. Do you know that at one point, I don't know if you know, but at one point I was discussing with a friend of mine providing material, site material, on a very short notice in a certain area. So if you are a developer and then you had a plumber, an electrician, a builder on site, and if the guys are missing something, that we were the one delivering within 2 hours. Okay? I don't know why we never got to that point of creating something like this, probably focused on investments more than this, but that was a service. And you can charge quite decent for that, purely because if they have 10 people on site, they are losing at the rate of 20, 30, 50, 100 pounds an hour. Yeah. So it's just about being creative with your services, being creative with where the challenge is and how can you be useful in that picture in a way where it does not take your personal time, that someone else can deliver and then you reap the rewards. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. Good food for thought, Bossman.
Very there are so many things running through because there's a friend I've been talking to. He's into CCTVs and he's got a client who's also a friend. He runs over close to about 60 pharmacies. He owns them, and he's been talking about like maintenance, and he wants us to take the maintenance and also refitting, like refits, running refits. So we've been discussing on how to get a refit company to come and give us the first quote so that we can literally use that as a prototype to go further. And as you're talking about supplies at a very odd time and also the quickest time, I've got also like a site manager who also handles these kind of things. So it's giving me ideas that I can use.
It's speed. You gotta remember speed. It's the speed of things, right? So when you are looking at services, you gotta make sure that you can do it with all the speed that you can.
Yeah.
Okay. So don't wait. A lot of time ideas die and nothing actually happens behind the scene is when people are slow.
Yeah.
that has speed, and I mean really high speed. At this moment, as I speak,
That's true.
at the moment as I speak, we've taken 3 quotations. We've taken 3 quotations, and we are taking more quotations for a fintech product.
Okay.
Which works for hotels and Airbnb models. Okay, so you know when you're on an Airbnb or
Yeah.
it goes on Booking.com and you take payments on Stripe or a whole bunch of PayPal or whatever it is, right?
Yeah.
We are thinking of creating our own channel manager and payment processor at the back of that.
Okay.
Okay, so it's speed. Literally, I've hired 2 virtual assistants to do research on channel managers, payment processes, and we are taking quotations to create the prototype of the channel manager as we speak. This will I should have the prototype ready in about 6 months' time.
Okay.
Okay, and then the payment processor probably in about 12 months' time. It's the speed that counts.
Yeah.
Okay, why am I sharing this with you? Again, like I said, it's all about being creative with your business. It's not about, what most people don't observe when they're new in the business is you gotta evolve with the business. It's not just about providing one service, one product, and then something happens with that product line or the service line, and all of a sudden your business is dead. Why have you not evolved with the business? Why have you not created more products, more service lines, and then higher profit margin lines? When you look at a payment processor, very, very high profit margins. When you look at a channel manager, very, very high profit margins. Okay? You must evolve with your business. Unless you don't evolve, nothing ever happens. Right? The product line that you're working on probably dies in 5 years' time. The service line that you're working on dies in 5 years' time, and you just haven't been innovative. That's all.
Now, can I just leave, guys? I'll speak to you later. Okay. Speak to you later, all of you. Good to see you. Okay,
all right, guys, this is today's session. I wanted to just come and share this because a lot of people are not getting the gist of how service lines are created, how your business is supposed to evolve. And unless you don't really focus on that, your business will die. It's not. Okay, the way rent to rent is going, how are you going to make a profit 5 years from today? How? Okay, unless you are in the town like I am in Blackpool, for example, okay, where there is always going to be travelers coming, okay? Unless you're in a town like that, you're not going to make money from Airbnb, okay? Because it's just going to be very highly saturated, okay? So it's all about thinking creatively and thinking, well, how can I bring more services, more creative, more innovative services? Apple was dying at one point till they launched the iPad, right? The one with the 1,000 songs in it, right? What was it called?
No, it's the iPod.
The iPod, yeah. So Apple was dying. Apple was going to disappear if they never launched the iPod, right? So
that's true.
it doesn't really matter where you are, right? You could be a small business, a medium business, a large business, or a micro business, unless you're not creative with your business. And there's no difference between you, me, or when Apple was started. There isn't. It's still a business. Are you being more creative? That's what matters. Guys, I'm going to leave you with that thought. Remember, I said only and only work on direct-to-vendor deals. You're wasting your time if you don't work on direct-to-vendor deals, okay? Have an absolutely amazing rest of the evening, and I shall see you all on the next shadow day. I'm going to do a shadow day, and I will be giving a shout to everyone, okay?
Right. So, lastly, if I heard you right, you mentioned if a deal is not direct to vendor, it's not a good deal. But what about if it's coming
wasting
from?
your time.
Okay. what about it? It's coming from, let's say, an agency, they are marketing for the vendor. So what about that? And it's got planning and it looks good.
It's a great question, okay? Okay, so I'll tell you some stats. 97% of the deals that are online, that means brought by an agent or sourcer, are a waste of time. Only maybe 1, 2, or 3 out of 100 deals are maybe worth looking at. I said maybe. Now, ask yourself this. If the average was as low as 3%, would you invest your time?
No.
Okay, good. You got your answer.
Okay.
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 All right.
I'll call you for the other stuff.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you.
Guys, Moro, have an amazing day. Ahmed, have an amazing day. I shall see you soon on the next Saturday. Okay.
All right. Take it easy.
Take care, guys. Take care. Take care.
Yeah.
Bye.